As they were swimming, they met a fish named Dory. She was lost and did not know the way home. "Hey, can you guys help me get home?" Dory asked. "Oh no, we can't," they replied. "Come join us, we're going for a long swim to find a treasure," said the mermaid. "Oh, I saw something sparkling on my way," said Dory. "Where did you see it?" shouted everyone excitedly. "It was pretty far off," said Dory, "but I think I remember. I remember," and she started swimming away excitedly. Everyone followed Dory excitedly. After swimming for an hour, they reached the great castle of gold. "Now we need to find the chest," said the mermaid. "Oh, I know. Let's knock on the castle door," said Dory. So they all knocked on the door and waited. Soon someone opened the castle door. It was the Blue Witch. The Blue Witch was a good witch. She was kind and helpful and beautiful. She had a silver and diamond tiara. All the friends were surprised to see such a beautiful witch. They thought all witches were bad. "Hi, we're the sea creatures of the great Pacific Ocean. We found a map to a treasure chest in the great castle of gold and came here looking for it," said the mermaid. "Welcome to the great castle of gold," said the Blue Witch. "I am the guardian of this palace. I can let you take the treasure chest, but before that you will all have to complete a challenge." The sea creatures were all very happy to hear that, but they were also worried about what the challenge would be. "Oh, I love challenges," said Dory. The Blue Witch smiled and said, "In the castle garden there is a very heavy blue diamond which is guarded by an old mermaid. Legend says that whoever is able to pick up the blue diamond and put it back into the great castle of gold can take the treasure chest. If you are all able to do that, I will let you take the treasure chest." The mermaid, crab, sea lion, seahorse, and sea turtle set off towards the castle garden. There they saw an enormous diamond. An old mermaid was sleeping right next to it. The sea lion walked up to the old mermaid and said, "Hello, we are here to try and take the blue diamond into the castle. May we?" The old mermaid woke up and said, "Yes, sure, but I have never seen anyone who could lift it. You may try if you want to." Oh, the 5 friends tried picking up the diamond, but not one of them could move it an inch. Then Dory stepped up to try. The friends looked at her and said confusedly, Can you pick it up?" Dory said, "I'll try." Oh joy, she was able to lift the diamond with one hand. Everyone started to stare at her in wonder. Everyone stared at her in wonder. "Hey fellas, where do you want me to take this big piece of blue rock to?" asked Dory. "Into the castle," said everyone together. They all walked into the castle with the Blue Witch leading them. Inside the castle, they placed the blue diamond inside McPhee, the magical well. The Blue Witch turned to the friends and Dory and said, "Congratulations, you can take the treasure chest, but since Dory was the one who picked up the blue diamond, you will have to make sure that she becomes a part of your group too." Then she turned to Dory and said, "I will give her a magical house. Whenever you go somewhere and lose your way, you just have to say, 'Abracadabra, zippity zap, where is my house? Come to me fast.' And your house will appear in front of you, so you'll never be lost again." Oh, the 6 friends were now very happy. They took the treasure chest and the map and started swimming back home, where they all lived together happily forever. A little disclaimer: just remember that those stories are going to be very childish-like or whatever, because they're written for children, and this story was actually written by a child. Under the story there's an author's note, and it says that this story was written partly and narrated completely by their 6-year-old who loves all undersea creatures and adventure stories. I'm going to put links to the stories, obviously, so you can check them out if you want to read them to your child or to resting under a shady tree. The dog spotted the food left over by the elephant and ate to its heart's content. The elephant saw the dog eating the leftover food. From that day on, the elephant gladly let the dog share his food. Soon the two became very good friends. The dog started staying in the stable, and the caretaker too did not mind it. Soon the dog too became very healthy. One day a farmer saw the dog and asked the caretaker if he would sell the dog to him. He offered good money for the dog. Although the dog did not belong to the caretaker, he accepted the money and gave the dog to the farmer. After the farmer took the dog away, the royal elephant became very sad. He lost his only friend in the royal stable. He missed his friend during meal times and refused to eat or drink, and soon became very weak. The news of the elephant's falling health quickly reached the king. He rushed to the royal stable to inquire. The caretaker knew why the elephant was so desolate and refused food and water, but he did not speak up. He was afraid that if the king came to know that he saw the dog which was not rightfully his, he would be punished, so he feigned ignorance. The royal vet was called to check the health of the elephant. Even after thorough examination, the vet was unable to ascertain why the elephant was not eating and drinking. He concluded that being an emotional animal, the elephant was very sad about something. The king's guards questioned all the servants in the stable to find out what could be reason for the royal elephant's sorrow. They came to know about the dog who lived with the elephant and was his close friend. They also came to know that the dog had been missing since the last few days. The king called his chief minister, told him about the whole situation, and asked him for a solution. Upon the chief minister's suggestion, an announcement was made in the entire kingdom that whoever had the dog should return it immediately, and he would be rewarded handsomely. The farmer heard the announcement and immediately reached the king's palace along with the dog. He told the king that he had bought the dog from the caretaker of the royal elephant. The caretaker was called immediately, and he confessed selling the dog even though he had no right to do so. The king ordered the dog to be returned on the stable alongside the elephant. The caretaker was ordered to return the farmer's money. He was also ordered to look after the dog as well, along with the elephant. The royal elephant was very happy to see his friend back. Food was served to both of them, and they ate together. The next story is called The Wind and the Sun, and it's by Aesop. I believe that I've read this when I was a child, but it wasn't in English, obviously, because I didn't speak English back then, but it just sounds very familiar to me. There was once an argument between the wind and the sun about who was stronger than the other. They argued for a long time, but neither of them emerged the winner. It wasn't too long before they spotted a man walking on the road. Looking at the man wearing a coat, an idea struck them both. They challenged each other that the one who succeeded in removing the coat from the man's back was the strongest. The wind volunteered to drive first. It began to blow hard, raising gusts of air and making it harder for the man to take a step further. But the man clutched his coat tight around him and resumed walking with great difficulty. The wind continued blowing harder and harder, but the man held onto his coat tighter and tighter and continued his journey forward. Finally, the wind was exhausted and gave up. His efforts had been futile. It was now the turn of the sun. He looked at the man and began to gently shine upon the path the man was walking on. The man looked up at the sky, surprised at the change in weather. The sun did not spend much energy, neither did he apply any effort. He just continued shining upon the man's head gently. Soon the man was huffing and puffing and sweating profusely, unable to bear the rising heat. The man finally took off his coat and headed to a nearby tree to rest for a while under its his fortune in a new place. He sold off all his possessions to pay off his debts. All that he was left was a heavy iron beam. Before leaving his town, the Duke went to see his good friend, Bondu. Again, not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. He requested him to keep the beam with him till he returned. Of course, my friend, I will keep the beam safe for you, said Bondu. The Duke thanked him and left. He traveled far and wide for many years and worked very hard. He started trading in spices and soon became rich again. He returned to his town, bought a new house, and opened a very large shop. Bondu had also heard that the Duke is back in town and has started a new business with the money that he had earned in all these years. One day, after work, the Duke went to visit his friend Bondu, who welcomed him warmly. They talked for long as he was about to leave. The Duke asked Bondu to return his beam. Bondu had no intention of returning it, as he knew that when sold, it would fetch him a good price. He put on a sad face and said, "Something bad has happened. I had kept the beam safely in my storeroom, but the mice have eaten it. I'm really very sorry." The Duke understood what was going on in Bondu's mind. "Please don't feel sorry. It is not your fault that the mice ate the